Morning, everyone. So we'll begin just coming into a nice, comfortable seated position. So just start by coming to the center of your mat. Just start by closing your eyes and resting your hands to your knees. And we'll just start here as we take some nice, slow breaths. So take a nice, slow, even breath in through your nostrils. And then exhale it out slowly and gently through your mouth. And again, take a nice deep breath in through your nostrils. And opening your mouth, exhale it out. And do this a few more times, just until you feel that you don't have to do it anymore, that you feel very relaxed and present. So everyone is different. You may feel that you need to really let everything go by utilizing that breath more than 3 times, or maybe 1 time is good enough for you. So it's important that we start to really notice what it is that we need from our practice and try to recognize that need and present it to ourselves, so to give it to yourselves. So when you're sitting up tall, you want to really ground through your sits bones. You can always use your blocks to sit up to let your hips release and open. So if your knees are very close towards one another and they're up towards the ceiling, this will help open the hips when you elevate your sits bones up more higher. So let your shoulders pull down away from the ears. And keeping your eyes closed, just now follow your natural breath. So hopefully by now you don't have to exhale out with the mouth. And now you want to find your Ujjayi breath. And this is the breath that we use through the practice. So you want to hear the way your breath sounds as it flows in through the back of your throat and out through the back of your throat. So make it a smooth, rhythmic sound, like either a ha sound, a hissing sound, or the sound of the ocean. So however you want to identify that sound, but you want to feel it traveling through the back of your throat. And your mouth remains closed. Check in with your sits bones. Make sure that you're not slumping through your back. So you don't want to round your back. You want to really sit up nice and tall, drawing your navel into the back of the spine. And let the shoulders just pull down away from the ears. And then from here, take a nice deep inhale through your nose. And on your exhale, take your chin down to the chest and let's stretch out the back of the neck. Inhale, raise your head back up center. And then exhale, lower the chin back down. And do this a few more times on your own. Try to do it nice and slow so that you're recognizing the stretch that's coming into the back of the neck. And you feel your head responding with your in-breath and your out-breath. So make sure that you don't drop the head too far back. You want to just let the head come back to neutral. And the next time that your chin lowers to the chest, let your head hang here. Draw the shoulders down away from the ears. And very slowly, just rock your head over to the left side. And as you rock it over, just hold here. And just notice where you're feeling any stiffness or tightness. So maybe you can't roll the head all the way over to the side, to the shoulder. Just take it to where you can and you feel that stretch into the right side of your neck. And very slowly take the chin back down to the chest, making sure that you're feeling what you're experiencing as you roll the head to the right shoulder now. And maybe the right side has more limitations than the left, or maybe it's more freer. Feel that left shoulder pulling down and that right ear is pressing towards the right shoulder. And then slowly draw the chin back down to the chest. And let's make that rocking sound to us movement over to the left again, and then slowly take it down. So we're not going to hold it here. We've just noticed where our range of motion is for both sides. So we're going to respect that range of motion. And we know where our edge is. We know how far we can take the head before we experience any resistance or tightness, or maybe even a little bit of a twinge or pain. So you don't want to force yourself to move your head when you're in pain. A couple more times. Make sure that you're listening to the flow of your breath. And so we're going to do one more time over to the left side, and then one more time over to the right side. And when you finish that, one more round on both sides. Just bring your chin back down to the chest and let your head continue to hang there. Check in with the back, making sure that you didn't round your back and your belly is drawn in. So you feel that you're in a little bit of a pelvic tilt. And then slowly, once your chin is into the chest, raise your head back up and let your chin come parallel to the mat. If your eyes happen to be closed, let them slowly open and gaze to the front of the room. And bring both arms all the way up. Take a nice deep stretch. And exhale, release. Take your arms all the way down. Inhale, lift the arms up and keep the shoulders pulling down and checking in where your resistance is. Maybe close your eyes and just continue doing this a few more times. So we're tapping in, listening to where we're feeling tightness in our body, and then making sure that anything that we come into, any posture we come into, we recognize that limitation and we don't force. So here you're recognizing your range of motion with your arms and trying to keep the shoulders down. Next time your arms come all the way up, bring your hands together in prayer and slowly lower the hands down so your thumbs come right to the center of your heart. Sit up nice and tall, belly in. And then from here, let's take the hands and place them onto the knees. Then start to circle the body around. So you want to feel a sense of lifting out from your hips and circle around whatever direction feels natural to begin with. So you want to start by taking your body in these small circles, increasing the range of motion as you feel comfortable. So if you feel that you're feeling resistance, don't go over as far. Make sure that both sits bones remain grounded to the mat. So you don't want to lift any sit bone off the floor, and feel the contraction in your in your belly. So you're pulling that belly into the lower back. And then when you're ready, reverse your circle, go the opposite direction, and you may notice that you have a lot less or maybe more range of motion than you did on that previous side. So checking in to notice what we're experiencing and not judging it, just saying, oh, okay, I know I'm a little tight here. And that's okay. So we bring ourselves to our practice, the body that we have, and let the practice fit the body. So if we're not feeling very open, then we don't force it. We just recognize our limitations and only take it to where we're comfortable. Take it around one last time, and then you're going to sit up nice and tall. Bring both arms all the way up. Inhale. And as you exhale, take your hands to the floor. Now, when you're taking your hands to the floor, you may only bring them right in front of your shins, but you want to make sure that you're not hunching your shoulders or rounding your back. So try not to round the back and bring the hands as far forward just because you want them forward. You want to make sure your back is long. So slide your hands in and get your back nice and long. Tuck your tailbone under so that you're not arching through the back, the lower back. Pull your belly into the spine and really feel a little bit of a pelvic tilt. That will maintain that straight spine, especially through the lower back, and your shoulders are pulling down. And then from here, if you're able to, just lift up onto the fingertips and bend your elbows and pull your chest closer towards the mat without compromising the back. So it's a hinging motion. You don't start to round the back to come further. You start to lift from the hips and move your belly and chest further to the floor. And just claw the fingers a little further to the front of the mat. Pull the shoulders back and just hinge to where you feel comfortable. And now just once you get to that space, just let your eyes close. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale through your nose. And just reside here. Just be with this stretch. Notice what you're experiencing in any part of your body. Anytime you feel too much pain or tension, you can ease yourself back up. And then very slowly open your eyes and walk your hands all the way back in towards your body. And let's take it into a tabletop position. So we're going to end up on all fours. If you're able to just rock forward right onto your hands and knees, you can do that. Otherwise, come up and find your tabletop position and move more to the middle of your mat. Spread your fingers wide and let the thumbs and the thumbs face in towards each other to the middle of the mat, and your index finger and middle finger are pretty much facing forward to the front of your mat. So we're going to come into our cat and cow, warming up the spine. So we're going to start with cow pose. Curl your toes and let your tailbone tilt up. Feel your belly dropping towards the floor, chest facing the front of the room, and then the head lifts up. So your back is arched here, your tailbone is lifted. Then flatten your toes, and now you're going to round the back. So start to feel the tuck, pulling the belly in. The whole back then engages, and then the chin comes into the chest. Once again, the toes curl, so you're staying here in your cat, and then your tailbone starts to tilt. And once it does, once your back is in that position, then slowly lift your head. And then toes go flat once again. Start to round through the spine. The lower belly pulls in, chin into the chest last. And do this a few more on your own. And as you're doing it, close your eyes. And again, you want to just look and experience what's happening as you're moving here. So really isolate your breath and the movement and just be aware of what you're experiencing. Maybe let those eyes stay closed and maybe feeling that you can really go a little deeper into this. And the next time that you round through your back into your cat pose, we're going to sit back onto the heels. So first come to a neutral spine, curl your toes, and you're going to sit back onto the heels. So once you push your butt down, walk your hands in. So the toes are curled, so we're going to be stretching the soles of the feet, and just start to lift your hands, bring them onto your side. Sit up nice and tall. So you're going to feel a stretch. You're going to stretch out the soles of the feet. So it may feel a little uncomfortable, but it's important to really get some space and open up any of the tightness there in the feet. So the toes are getting a nice stretch by spreading them out, pressing into the ball mound of the foot and stretching into the sole of the foot. Hopefully you're not going to be getting a cramp. If you do get a cramp, you can come out of the pose, but we want to make sure that we're feeling that stretch. Then slide your hands forward, and let's bring the hands as far to the front of the mat as possible so your shoulders are away from your wrists. Bring your tailbone down towards the heels, and then just start to lift your knees. Without pushing weight forward into the palms, lift the knees and drop your head. So that can be a challenge for some of us. You want to find where you can, your position is in your down dog. Maybe your knees have to be bent in order to maintain that straight spine. You don't want to force weight into the wrists and into the shoulders and round the back. So you want to really bend your knees and lift the hips way up. Feel that you're pushing the mat away, and then you can start to play with whether or not your legs can go straight. Doesn't matter if your legs are straight or bent. What does matter is if your back is straight. And then look forward and doing the best you can, walk your feet all the way to the very top of your mat. Once you get to the top of the mat, bring your big toes to touch, and then inhale, take your arms out in T, flat back, slowly hinge from your hips, and come all the way up, bring your hands together, look up at your hands, and then slowly follow the thumbs to the center of your heart. Tailbone is pressing down, big toes are touching, the arches of your feet are lifted. Feel that your ball mounds of the feet are pressing into the mat, but the toes are just resting. They're not gripping the floor. Shoulders are away from the ears. Outer thighs are opening, so you're going to feel your hips rotating outward. Let's take an inhale, lift both arms all the way up. Interlace your fingers, make steeple fingers. So the pointer fingers are going to point up. You're going to draw your shoulders down away from the ears, pull your navel into the back of the spine, lift up as high as you can on your inhale through the tips of the fingers, and with your exhale, slowly side bend over to the left, pressing your right hip out to the side. So try to avoid rounding your back. Just take it over to where your limit is. So slowly guide yourself, and when you feel that you can't go any further, don't force it. You want to make sure that you're keeping the form and the alignment so that you're protecting your back, protecting the rest of your body. And then inhale up center, exhale all the way over to the right side now, pressing that left hip out. Really feel as if you're pulling your left hip away from the rib cage. And you may notice that the right side and left side feel a little different in the stretch, or maybe you can go further on one side than the other. So this is just an observation of where your body is. Inhale up. Exhale, lower the arms all the way down and sweep your hands and bring them back into prayer. Thumbs into the center of your heart. So maybe noticing that just by doing that little side stretch, you'd increase your heart rate. So from here, let's take the arms and extend them all the way up. Inhale. Exhale and fold. Bend your knees and place your hands to the floor, and then step your left leg back or slide it back if you're not able to step it back. And you want to just make sure that left leg goes as far back as possible and you're pressing your pelvis down. So if you need the assistance of your block, you can bring the block on to the left, to the big toe side of the foot, and you just want to sink your pelvis down to where you can go comfortably so that you feel an inner thigh stretch here, a groin stretch. Then place your left knee down to the floor. Make sure your right knee stays over the ankle. From here, we're going to sweep the right arm forward, turn your chest to the right side, and lift your right arm all the way up. Gaze up at your right thumb. Try to make sure your right knee doesn't open way out to the side. So you want to really pull it in. Feel that your hip is moving back and you're scissoring your inner thighs together. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. Bring that hand down to the floor. Remove your block and then place both hands onto your right thigh. As you come onto that right thigh, again, press the pelvis down so that you deepen. So you want to really feel where that stretch opens into that left hip flexor. Tuck your tail under and breathe and look up. Your option can be to take your arms up if you'd like for your full crescent pose. Lift and stretch through the fingers and let your gaze be upward. So you don't want to be looking towards your mat or forward. The gaze is slightly up, so the head is going back a little bit more. And then from here, let's bring both hands down on either side of your right foot. Curl your back toes, and we're going to take that knee off the mat and let the left foot come to meet the right. Then we're going to switch it out. Right leg is going to go back. Either slide it back or step it back. And once you get it back, start to wiggle a little further back till you feel that range of motion. You can bring that block to the right side of your left toe. And really squeeze your inner thighs together. Continue to push back through that right heel. Make sure your left knee is right over the ankle. The toes of the left foot are facing right to the front of the mat. And then you can lower the knee down to the floor and sweep your left arm forward and rotate into a twist. So you can stay on the block. Whatever height the block gives you that ability to open up into your twist, raise the block to wherever that is for you. Maybe you can find range of motion just with your hand on the floor. So pull your left knee in towards the midline of the body. So when we use the block, it helps us open up a little bit more so that we can get that shoulder to stack over, the left shoulder to stack over the right shoulder. And then let that hand come back down to the floor, removing your block, and bring both hands onto your left thigh. So let your pelvis press down and tuck under to increase the stretch to the right hip flexor. Shoulders move down, gaze is slightly up, and breathe. So your head is slightly back. You want to be looking up towards where the wall and the ceiling meet. So your head has to tilt back a little bit. And then bring your head forward. Both hands come down on either side of your left foot. Curl your back toes, and as you do, press your heel back and then return that right foot next to the left. And then from here, lengthen your spine. Inhale. Slide the hands up your shins. Exhale and fold. And let's hold our forward bend, feeling a stretch opening in through the back of the legs. So depending on where your range of motion is, if you're not very flexible through your hips, your hamstrings, you might only be here with your hands just below your knees. You want your back to be long, so depending on your own range of motion, you want to fold from the hips, just as we did earlier when we were in our seated forward bend. You want to not round through the back and drop your head. So you want to keep the tailbone and the crown of your head in alignment as you fold. So it's like folding your whole body in half, and the shoulders are continuing to pull back. The legs are straight. So some of us have to find where that range of motion is, and it may only be where your hands are right on the shins just below the knees, or maybe you can slide it all the way down your hands, and maybe your hands can touch the floor. From here, inhale, extend the arms out, pull the belly in, long spine, keep that belly drawn in, and lift the arms all the way up and bring your hands back into prayer. And as your hands come into prayer, taking a notice once again, feeling that heart rate. Has it increased a little bit more? So as we move, as we hold poses, we may feel like we're not really doing much, but it takes a lot of energy and effort to move into the poses and to hold them, to achieve them. So let's open the eyes, let's raise both arms all the way up, stretching up. So we're going to take a big step with the left foot going back. So as your left foot goes back, your toes are angled, your left toes are angled to the left corner of your mat, so about a 45-degree angle. And bend your right leg at the knee. If it's too much with your arms extended, you can keep them out to the side, or you can bring them down, or you can place them on your hips. So what you want to try and do is notice your hips if they're forward or not. They want to be facing towards the front of your mat. So you don't want your hips to rotate out to the side. So press down into the edge of your left foot. Let that heel stay down. Wherever you are, you're in your warrior one posture. Hold here. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. So holding the poses, the longer the poses are being held, the more the body is really understanding that you mean business. So if you come out of it too quickly, you're not really giving your body the chance to really absorb the benefit of the pose. So from here, straighten your right leg, and then bend it again as your left foot comes to meet the right. And bring both hands back to prayer. And as you come back, you may notice once again that your heart rate is still elevated just by going into that pose and holding it there. And then let's raise the arms up. And we're going to switch sides. So this time the right leg is going to go back. As you take that big step back, you want to angle the toes so that they're at 45 degrees. Make sure that you have that left knee coming over the ankle when you bend the leg. So you don't want your knee to be over your toes. You want to make sure that the knee is over the ankle. Now, if your hips are angled to the corner of the room, square them so that they move forward. It may mean you need to twist your right foot a little more so that the heel goes towards the back of the mat. Both hips should be facing forward. Choice of your arm position is up to where you feel your shoulders are feeling okay with whatever that stretch is. And press your tailbone under, gaze is up, slight arch in the back, but you're not really arching too much in the lower back. Root down into the edge of that right heel, really press down. And then straighten your left leg, bring your head back to center, bend the leg and take your right foot to meet the left. Bring both hands back to the center of your heart and take a notice. Heart rate still elevated. Just hold here. So it's important that when we notice that we increase the energy through the body, the breath follows that energy so that we're able to manage it. So if you're not able to breathe with that energy, you might start feeling that you're hyperventilating. So you want to make sure that you always maintain the flow of the breath in and out through the back of your throat. And you want to be able to make sure you can actually hear it yourself, hear it internally. So this time we're going to take the arms all the way up, inhale, and we're going to step back once again with the left foot. So I'm just going to turn this way. So when you step back with your left foot, you're going to now turn the hips to open to the left. So when you turn the hips to open to the left foot spins out a little bit. Then bend your right leg at the knee, and the right knee remains over the ankle. So you want to make sure that you're in a 90-degree angle, thigh is parallel to the floor, pelvis is pressing down, shoulders are over your hips, and pull those hips away from the rib cage and pull your shoulders away from the ears. Try to get those arms to extend from the shoulders and look down the fingers of your right hand. So really energize the tips of your fingers. Push down into the edge of your left foot and try not to bend that left leg and roll into the arch of that left foot. You want to really ground into the edge of the left foot. And keeping that right side parallel to the floor, we're going to take a reverse warrior. So the left hand is just going to lower gently down to the left leg. Try not to grip the leg and turn your right palm to the ceiling. Then stretch the right arm up to the ceiling, fingers reach up. And if you can, reach over that right ear as you stretch your fingers to the back of your mat. Slide your left hand down and try to keep your chest opening up to the ceiling. Make sure that your right leg is still as parallel to the floor as you can get it. So let's hold here, 2 more breaths. Deep inhale and exhale. And remember, holding as long as you can, the body really starts to notice that this is something that's going to be helpful. And then we're going to come back, arms out in T position. So you're still in your warrior 2 position. And then you're going to straighten your right leg. Bend it again and bring your left foot to meet the right. Both arms come back up and return your hands back into prayer and hold here. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the nose. Noticing what you're experiencing in your body and continuing to keep that breath flowing. So we're going to switch sides. Big toes are touching. You're at the very top of your mat. Both arms are going to lift up. Inhale. Stepping the right leg back. So you want to step that leg back as far as you can. So you want to make sure when you bend your left leg that the knee is going to be over the ankle. So right from here, you're going to just turn the hips open to the right. So it's going to turn and spin your right toes out slightly. Bring your arms in T and then bend your left leg. So the toes of your left foot completely facing the front of your mat. Look down and make sure they're not turned to the angle, to the corners of the mat, but they're facing the short end, the front of your mat. And your pelvis presses down, your hips move away from the rib cage, inner thighs open. Make sure the right leg isn't bending and you're pressing in through the edge of that right foot, letting that arch lift off the mat. Shoulders are relaxed, belly in. Try not to arch that lower back. So you want to really feel a tuck, pelvis tucking in, under, and your belly pulls in. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Gaze down the fingers of your left hand and make sure that breath is flowing. So as your body really notices you're holding it, you need to let that breath take that energy in. Turn the left palm up, release your right hand to the side and the right leg, and you're going to slide the hand down as the left arm lifts. So you're keeping that left knee bent and lift out of that left rib cage. That left hip pulls away from the rib cage, and you can look up to the inner elbow. So you want your chest turned slightly upward. You don't want to drop your chest down to the floor and have your arm facing the corner of the room. The arm should be completely up. So depending on your range of motion, you may not be able to really reach it all the way over the left ear. So just extend it up as high as you can to reach to the ceiling. And then bring yourself back to your warrior 2. Straighten your left leg. Inhale. Bending the leg, the right foot's going to come forward and the arms are going to lift up. Bring your hands back to prayer and hold. So you're right at the top of your mat once again. Thumbs are into the chest. Big toes are touching. You're in your you're in your Tadasana mountain pose. And as you notice that increased energy, maybe your breath has to be a little longer, a little smoother, so check in with the breath. You always need to check into your breath to make sure it's helping you. It's your useful tool when you come into all of these poses. Now let's hold here. Option to close your eyes. If you do close your eyes, if you feel dizzy, then let your eyes open. You don't want to really feel that you're going to be off balance or you're going to lose your balance when your eyes are closed. Let's slowly let the eyes open. Release your arms down and separate your legs about hip distance apart. So generally hip distance apart is the size of one of your feet. So if you took one heel of your foot, say your right foot, and placed it next to your left big toe, and then lifted the heel up, you're just going to spin on the ball mound of that right foot. and then lower it down. And that will give you a general guide of how far your hips are. Some of us think we have bigger hips than we do, and some of us think our hips are really when our feet are together. So it's really about the size of one of your feet. So we're at the top of the mat in our mountain pose, but the feet are separated slightly. We're going to just lift the heels off the floor and raise up onto the balls of the feet, just to find balance. How high can you lift those heels? Hold here. Tuck your tail under. Let your shoulders pull down away from the ears and slowly let the heels lower back down. And just let your toes lift. So rock back, lift your toes, place the toes back down, spreading the toes of the feet, spreading the toes on your feet. And then we're going to lift the heels once again. And then this time as we hold, we're going to take the arms and extend them out in T. So just testing out our balance. Is it a little shaky? That's normal. So when our body shakes, it's looking to find the strength it needs to hold us in this balance. Keep your gaze forward. Keep your belly in. Then slowly lower the heels as you lower your arms and lift your toes again. Push down into the ball mounds of each toe and spread the toes wide. Place them back down to the floor. And now once again, we're going to lift the heels. So lift up as high as you can. Slowly and gently bring the arms up. So take your time so that you don't get yourself off balance. Maintain the balance. Pull the belly into the back of the spine. Keep lifting your hips. Raise your arms up. Stretch the fingers towards the ceiling. Try not to shrug the shoulders up. You want to pull your shoulders down. Take the arms out to the side, and very slowly, you're going to lower your arms while you simultaneously take your heels all the way down to the floor. And once you're there, bring your hands in prayer. Let your thumbs come to the center of your heart. And just notice. So every time you go into any type of pose, you'll feel that you do create more energy, more heat through your body. Some poses generate more energy and more heat. So we want to be able to receive it by keeping the flow of that breath smooth and even. So from here, let's take the arms and lift them all the way up. We're going to take chair pose. So get your arms as close to your ears as possible. Even if it means your arms are way out, you want to pull your shoulders back. Or you can extend your arms forward and pull the shoulders back. So you want to really squeeze the shoulder blades together. Then see where your range of motion is to get your arms up. Sometimes it helps to open the arms out to get the shoulders to pull down, and you want your chest to really expand. So once your arms are in position, pull your navel into the back of the spine and then bend your knees as you press your tailbone towards the floor. Try not to block the view of your toes. So if you look down, you want to be able to see your toenails. Pull your belly in so that you're not overarching the back. Draw the navel into the back of the spine and lift. You can raise your toes. Notice if that lifting of the toes helps you find more balance. You want to be looking up towards where the wall and the ceiling meet. So this can be a little bit of a challenging pose. Sometimes it's called awkward pose. You really pull your belly in and see how low you can go without blocking the view of your toes. So every once in a while, look down and then slowly stand straight up. Open the arms out to the side. Bring the hands around and down into prayer, back to the center of the heart. And take notice again of your heart rate. Is your breath matching that heart rate? Is it keeping things smooth and consistent? And slowly let your eyes open. We're going to reach the arms all the way up, taking that balance pose again. So you're going to let the heels slowly lift up. And keep staying on the balls of the feet. So if you want to take a little bit of a different option here for a little bit more of a balance, see if you can take your chair pose, bending the legs, and draw the tailbone down. Lift the chest, keep your heels lifted. If you need to, lower your heels. You want to really feel that you're pulling the energy back. So you want to really pull that belly into the back of the spine. And then once again, if your heels are lifted, keep finding that balance. Start to straighten the legs, keeping the heels lifted. So maybe you're up and ready for that deeper challenge. Once you're there, Everyone is standing up with their fingers reaching to the ceiling. Belly in, turn your palms out, and slowly lower your arms. Keep your heels lifted this time, and take the hands, bringing them back to prayer. Lift the heels up a little higher, and then slowly lower the heels to the earth. Close your eyes, check in with your heart rate, check in with your breath, and make that breath smooth and even. So receive the energy, taking it in with a deep inhale, releasing it out with a slow, deep exhale. Let your eyes open if they're closed. Raise both arms all the way up. Take a forward fold, arms out to the side. Exhale it down. Bend your knees if you need to place your hands to the floor and step your legs back and bring your knees down to the floor. Let's take a child's pose here. Big toes touch. Open your knees as wide as the width of your mat and draw your tailbone down towards your heels. So our first resting pose, always remember there is the option to take this posture anytime that you feel you need to. When you come down, you want your forehead to touch the floor. You don't want the brow edge of your forehead to touch. You want your forehead to come down. And if you can't do that, then you can bring your forehead onto your block. Really feel that you're pushing. You want to really feel the hips moving back. So you're pushing your hips back so that your buttocks come to the heels. And you're getting a stretch here, and you want to stay in the stretch. Relax in the stretch. So go into the stretch as much as you can first, and then just let go completely here. Now let's come back onto the hands and knees, back into tabletop, onto all fours. So bring your knees back under your hips. So from here, we're going to come down onto the forearms. So bring your forearms down onto the mat. So your fingertips are at the very top of your mat, and you're on your forearm. And then we're going to take the legs back, and then just let your pelvis lower. So coming into Sphinx pose, when we let the belly come down, the chest will be lifted. The shoulders are directly over your elbows. So make sure your arms are wide enough. They're not closed in. They're not more into the chest. They're open out shoulder width. Spread your fingers wide and pull your belly in. Now you want to feel that you're tucking your tail under. Now toes are flat on the floor, so notice all 10 toes are pushing down into the mat. Now as you're pushing your 10 toes into the floor, start to feel your knees lifting. So you're going to notice that your glutes squeeze a little bit, your back of the thighs squeeze a little bit to let your knees lift up. And then relax your legs. So let the legs relax so that you notice the knees, the tops of the knees come back down, the tops of the thighs come back down. So once again, let's try that by pressing the toes, the toenails in, and lifting your knees. Feel where the front part of your legs lift up when you push into your toenails. Squeeze the glutes and let those knees lift. So you'll feel the upper part of the knee and the lower part of the knee lifting. And then lower everything down. And then right from here, just open your elbows out to the side, bring your chest all the way down, and then just slide your hands in towards the side of your body and turn on to your right ear. So notice your breathing, make sure it's smooth and even. So just by doing that little back bend, it increased the energy, and you may feel that energy through your heart rate. Now let's turn the head to the other side onto the left ear. And you may notice one side feels more open than the other, but we need to stretch both sides. Return your forehead back to the floor, and then just bend both legs at the knees and windshield wiper your legs from side to side. And then allow the rocking to stop and let your legs go back down onto the mat. Continue to keep your forehead on the floor. Take your elbows off the floor and your forearms, and then slide your hands, keep the hands on the mat and slide them back towards the bottom of your rib cage. And we're going to press back into a child's pose. So as you lift your head, lift your chest, push into your hands, big toes come together, and let your buttocks come down towards your heels. back into your child's pose and stretch the fingers forward. So really feel that your lower back is getting a little bit of a stretch here, especially if you felt it when you were in that back bend. And then let's walk the hands over to the right side, drawing that left buttock towards the left heel, stretching into the left side of your body, and also feeling more openness coming into that lower back. So you want to feel that left buttock pushing down, and breathe here. So as you're stretching, breathe into the stretch. Remember, you always want to feel good and comfortable. Even if you're in a challenging pose, you want to try and feel as comfortable as possible. Meet yourself at that challenge, wherever it is. And then coming back to center, walk it all the way over to the left side now, and the right buttock pushes down towards that right heel. And you're getting a stretch in through the whole right side of your body. As you push that buttock down, you're going to feel the lower back really opening in a little bit more of a deeper stretch. So let's come back to center. Come back onto your hands and knees. Bring your knees under your hips. And take your legs out to one side. And then let's sit down onto the buttocks. But we're going to keep the soles of the feet together. So you want to come into bound angle pose. So shift yourself more to the middle of your mat. Let the soles of your feet come together. And pull the heels in as long as your back remains long. So try not to round the back and pull the heels in and end up hunched over. So you want to make sure your heels are pulled in as close to the groin as possible. Sit on the block if you need to. And then you want that back to be nice and long. The shoulders are pulling down away from the ears. So you want your knees to open out to the side. Pull your navel into the back of the spine. And as we did at the very beginning when we hinged from the hips, don't move your back, just feel your own range of motion. So depending on how open your hips and inner thighs are, will determine how far forward you can go. So if you're very flexible, you may almost be able to bring your chest down to the side. If you're not that flexible, just going a half an inch is about as much as you can do. So accept where you are. You can't make your body more flexible than it is. You can only continue to practice and the flexibility starts to increase. But you may not ever be able to get your whole chest down, depending on your genetic makeup and your own flexibility. So just see wherever it is and just accept it and enjoy the stretch. Notice the inner thighs getting that stretch, the groin as well. And then just close your eyes. Make sure you're checking in with the whole back. Make sure the back isn't rounding. The shoulder blades are squeezing. The chest is pressing towards the soles of the feet. And then slowly come back up. And then once you're there, bring your hands behind your buttocks and take the feet out to the very edges of your mat. Lean back slightly and then windshield wiper your legs from one side and then to the other side and back and forth. And then from here, let's extend those legs forward. And you want to remove the flesh from your buttocks so that you really feel that you can connect to the mat through your sits bones, sitting up nice and tall. Again, lifting the hips if you need to, using your block. You can sit on the block, whatever level is right for you. So that will help lift your hips and open in through your inner thighs. Sit up tall and breathe. So let your legs extend. So once your legs are extended, you want to keep those knees pressing to the backs of the mat. Back is nice and long. Bring your hands in prayer. Raise your arms up. Keep the arms glued towards your ears. Pull your belly in, hinge from your hips. So we're doing a lot of identifying with hinge movement, hip movement here, so that we know we don't want the back to start to round. So as we continue to hinge, see where you can go. Once you notice that you're going to start to round your back, just let the arms lower without overreaching for your toes. A lot of times we think we're going to stretch and touch our toes, but we don't have to touch our toes. What we have to do is find that space in through the back and then lower down. Then once you're there, just assess your body. Pull your belly in, lift from the hips, and draw your navel to the thighs as you pull yourself closer towards the thighs. But feeling that the motion is coming from your hips. Continue to breathe and make sure your toes are continue to stay flexed. So eventually you may find that your hands move towards your toes, but you want to really identify that your back stays long. And once you can't go, once your belly is on your thigh and you can go further, the back will around slightly, but you don't want to round it to begin with because then everything is congested in through the chest. So you want the chest to lead the way, moving towards the thighs, pulling away from your feet. Inhale, slowly come up. And we're going to take the right leg and we're going to take the sole of the right foot to the inside of the left thigh. So you want the hips to continue to stay facing forward. That left leg is straight. The back of the left knee is pushing down to the mat. The heel is pushing forward and the toes are flexed. So make sure you're rotating both hips forward. So when you're here in this position, sometimes it's easy to just turn your hips so that they're facing more at a diagonal. So you want them to come forward. So pull the left hip back. Bring your hands in prayer. Same movement of the arms and movement from the hips as we hinge forward. Let the arms come down. Pull that left hip back. Try to get that navel down to the left side and breathe. So make sure the shoulders are pulling back and then just taking it down. Eventually, with time, maybe you'll find that you develop a little more flexibility. So remember, flexibility will come more with practice, but you may never be able to go all the way down if that's not in your genetic makeup. But you want to feel a stretch opening in through the lower back and also feeling that stretch in through the back of your left leg. So the way that heel is pushing is developing that deeper stretch. While you're flexing the foot, you're getting more of a stretch to the hamstring. Slowly inhale, the hands walk up, and then your right leg is going to extend forward, and you're going to switch sides. So when you fold the left leg in, the sole of the left foot comes right into the inner right thigh. Check in, make sure your hips don't turn to the left corner. So you want to square the hips. So you may feel that you have to pull your right hip back more. Make sure your hips are facing the front of your mat. Press the back of your right knee down to the floor, flexing your right foot, and take your hands in prayer. Check in to make sure your back is long. Both arms lift, inhale. And again, remember, if you're not that flexible, maybe you just hinge an inch. And then when you do, your hands just come down. Then check in, pull your right hip back. Make sure it's a hinging motion as you fold, and keep that back long until you come all the way down with your belly touching, your chest touching, and then the back will just slowly start to round a little bit. And breathe. Keeping that right foot flexed, feel the stretch opening into the back of your right leg and your right hamstring. And the back and the right knee hip is pulling back to increase the stretch. Your lower back is getting a stretch, so you also want to feel that stretch in through the lower back. So if you're not feeling the stretch in the lower back, draw your navel in and feel as if you're pulling the belly into the back of the spine and hinge forward as you pull the right hip back. You want to feel that stretch into the back. And coming up, slowly walk your hands in and take your left foot forward. And we're just going to scoot to the front of the mat. So you're going to move your hips to your heels and then come to lie down onto your back and bring your feet flat onto the floor. So we already created a back bend when we were in that Sphinx pose, but what we're going to do is just kind of let the back open up a little bit. If this doesn't feel good, so you can keep your arms down alongside you. So you want to tuck your tail under. So when you tuck under in your pelvic tilt, the lower back really presses down into the floor and the navel squeezes into the back of the spine. So keeping that pelvic tilt, keeping your legs hip distance apart, toes facing the front of your mat, keeping that navel drawn in. Inhale, and as you inhale, lift your hips, lift your butt while you lift your arms all the way up and send your arms all the way back behind you by your ears. With your exhale, start to lift your arms and slowly let your spine lower. Roll down vertebra by vertebra as you slowly come down. Let the tailbone come down last when your arms come to touch. And then inhale again as you tuck your tail. Inhale, lift up, arms lift up, butt lifts all the way up. Go as high as you can. And exhale, slowly bring it down. So you want to make sure that you're noticing simultaneously your back and your arms touching at the same time. And now do this on your own and do this about 3 more times. Close your eyes and just make sure that everything feels like you're bringing it into sync. So if you bring your butt down too quickly, slow the lowering of your back. If you bring your arms down too quickly, slow the lowering of your arms, so that you can synchronize everything, that you can identify with having the control to let everything flow together. When you've finished your 3rd round, just let yourself relax and place your hands right onto your lower belly. Let your thumb and index finger connect together. And so let the tips of the thumbs just come right into the navel, right into your belly button. Let your elbows rest to the sides of your body. Close your eyes. And once you have the hands, the tips of the thumbs and the tips of the index fingers connected and the palms are resting onto the belly, the lower belly, just watch your belly as it pushes gently into your palms as you inhale. So make sure that you feel the breath flowing through the lower belly. Imagine that you're blowing up a balloon and you're filling up that balloon with as much air as you can. And then you're deflating that balloon, pulling the belly away from your palms, pressing the lower back into the floor as you exhale out, releasing every bit of air. And stay there with that a few more rounds. So breathing slowly in and out. So feeling that nice slow movement of breath, then just let your arms relax down alongside you. Let go of that focus on your breath at the belly area and let your natural, normal breath resume. Close your eyes if they're not already closed. And then gently slide your legs forward. Keeping the legs about hip distance apart, just let your feet flop to the side. Relax your shoulders. And just as we did when we were in all the other poses, recognize that you're here resting, relaxing. Coming into Shavasana, this is the most important time for ourselves at the end of our practice, to give ourselves rest. A lot of times when we practice any kind of physical exercise, we just leave without letting ourselves really integrate what we've done. So here's the time we rest and let the body settle into this relaxation. Let your natural breath flow in and out. If you find that your mind is drifting into thoughts, guide your mind back to the breath so that you follow each inhale and follow each exhale. Letting go. So eventually, when we come out of our relaxation, we will feel that we've rejuvenated ourselves, revitalized ourselves, given ourselves more energy and presence. Right now, just let go. It's a beautiful way to start your day. It's a nice practice to get your body ready, get your mind ready. As you let go, Feel every bit of tension and tightness moving out of your body. Feel connection to your breath. And just relax. No worry. Nowhere to go. And just to notice the body resting. And very slowly start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Allow the hands to come right into the center of your heart in prayer position and vigorously rub your hands together, creating heat and energy in your hands. Place your left hand onto your heart and your right hand right onto your belly. Feel the breath moving through your belly and your heart beating. Recognizing that we wouldn't be here with this breath. We wouldn't be here with our heart beating. And once again, bring your hands together, rubbing them vigorously, creating heat and energy. And place the opposite hand on your heart and the opposite hand onto your belly. Find your breath. Find your heartbeat. And then just let your arms float down alongside you. Take a nice deep breath in and reach and extend your arms all the way up over your head. Exhale out any sigh sounds or moans. Get a nice, beautiful, deep stretch. And then hug your knees, pulling them into your chest. As you hug those knees in, really rock it out side to side. Massage out your lower back, really opening up any tension that may still have accumulated there and still be there. And then when you're ready, just rock yourself over into Garbhasana, fetal position. Come to lie down on your side onto your right arm. So let your right arm be a soft pillow for your head to rest. Bring your left hand in front of your chest onto the floor. Just stay here for a few moments. Noticing the integration of your practice. Take notice of how you're feeling. And know that this is the way that you want to begin your day. feeling more open with your physical body, more open with your mind, and maybe being able to deal with whatever situation you're experienced or you're faced with whatever experience you're faced with. You want to face it with an open mind, an open heart, and be more relaxed and not maybe be too jittery if you find that sometimes you're in that place. So with your eyes closed, just gently continue to press into that left hand and guide yourself up to a seated position until you end up sitting up tall with your legs crossed. And let your hands come into Anjali Mudra with your thumb into the center of your heart. Take a moment to perhaps set an intention for your day. Now that your practice is over, maybe set that intention that you're going to face whatever situation is calmly. And you're going to notice if you start to move from that calm space and start to move towards a little bit more of a negative energy. So rather than being worried, you'll be more accepting of what is. And maybe you'll find less fear, less anxiety, more calm and peace. So inviting that in, let's seal our practice as we chant Om one time. We'll chant it nice and long. Deep breath in. Om. And slowly, gently take your chin down to the chest as you bow down to that light and love that shines within you. Know that that light and love shines brightly within each and every one of us. Namaste. Enjoy your day, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. And we will be having classes again in June, so just look for those dates for the Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And I hope to see you on all those dates. And I hope that you're enjoying your practice from home. Have a great day.